Hey, we're live. I'm going to quickly mute myself on this thing over here once it catches up with me.
Okay.
What's it going? How's it going, Scott? Here we go.
Pretty good.
There we go.
I have to apologize, sort of. Not that I think you care necessarily. This is I'm gonna copy this and post this on Facebook.
Okay.
Scott is searching for headphones. Working at home, I never leave my house, and so I do a terrible job at keeping track of my stuff. It's like, where are my headphones? Because nothing ever leaves the house. When I leave the house, I put stuff in my bag. My backpack has been sitting here in my studio for, over a month. So anyway, hang on, I'm copying this. So I saw FlyFoxPro is on there. I wanted to talk to FlyFoxPro in a minute, because FlyFox is a he, right? He was drawing people the other day, and I had some ideas that I thought might be helpful. And I'm trying to do too many things at once.
Well, I think I've noted a note from FlyFox that he is a Herge fan, the Swedish artist that did Tintin.
Oh, Herge, I believe, or Herge.
Just get in a real French mood and pronounce how it would be pronounced.
Herge.
It may be pronounced with like barely saying H for all you know. It's like
it might
hairs or something.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce anything.
Okay, I think me neither. I've been reading on my personal Facebook page. I've been reading through the Bible, just for people, my friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a chapter a night, and I'm reading the Old Testament, and it's these Hebrew names. I'm reading Genesis.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's just Hebrew names, just, and I just kind of I do the Elvis thing and kind of mumble through them. So I have a couple things that I want to show you, Ellis.
All right.
Okay, so I'm reading this book. Can you see this? I don't know if you can read it. It's kind of shiny. It's called X-Men: Shadows of the Past. Because of the pandemic, I have been raiding my bookshelf. I have a bookshelf. I have 4 bookshelves of paperback books, and I just want to read something, I'd buy it. And so since the pandemic hit, and honestly, a little bit of we'll call it economic insecurity. When stuff like that happens, and I feel maybe not even economically, but when I feel insecure, I tend to not buy stuff. I tend to shut down on my frivolous shopping. And so I've been reading, and really part of it happened because my shelf collapsed. One of my shelves collapsed, and so I had to rebuild it or buy a new one. And when I did, because of the way my studio is, it exposed a whole bookshelf. And I looked through it, and I found a book that I'd been looking for. Literally, 2 times I've been in New York, and I've looked for it at bookstores in New York. I could have got off of Amazon, but it was just a paperback book. I don't want to pay like $5 in shipping for a paperback book. Right. And I found it, and I read it. It was that Isaac Asimov book, and I loved it. Anyway, so I've been reading this. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this, Ellis, and I'm not very far. You can see I'm only about 30 pages through it. Mm-hmm. This is an X-Men book. It was published in 2000. Now, I bought it primarily at the time, and I know I got it cheap, but I can't remember where I got it. And there's a hardcover, and I've seen the hardcover. It has Jose Ladrone chapter illustrations. I don't know if you can see this, Ellis.
Let's see. Oh, let me. I can't make you any bigger, I don't think.
No. But you can see it there. I can see it on the TV.
Oh yeah. So it looks very Kirby-esque.
Kirby-esque, yeah. Oh, you know who Ladrone is, don't you? You may not. No. Anyway, he does very Kirby type illustrating. Now he does paintings. He did Elephant Man. He did a bunch of Elephant Man stuff, but he did a run on cable that was like this, very Kirby looking. Anyway, so I bought this, and I saw it, and I thought, man, I saw it on my shelf. I thought, I ought to read that. And so I got it. Well, I thought, before I invest too much time in it, I'm going to read some Amazon reviews or some reviews. And, of course, all I could find was on Amazon. And what's funny is people on Amazon were like, now this came out in 2000, and the story, it's the X-Men, but it's the original X-Men. And people were like, where's Wolverine? Where's,
Yeah, exactly.
Cyclops? And it's like, no, this is, and I've been reading it, and I'm not very far in it, but I love it. It's great. I think, I think you might appreciate this, Ellis. But let me,
Okay.
if I finish it and I think you'll like it, I may lend it to you. So I don't
All right.
know if you want to borrow it. Okay, so anyway, there's that.
Okay.
Okay, are these the sharpeners you ordered?
Are those the shot? Mine haven't arrived yet.
Okay,
You
okay.
think
See,
they would be here?
well, I got mine in 2 days, so I don't know. Anyway, I
That's
bought a box
interesting.
of 20. I mean, that's all they came as, and I kind of like them, even though I'm really using. I'm not using wooden pencils very much, but with 20, I can throw one in all my bags, and they'll
Sure.
sit here in my studio and not go anywhere. But anyway, I didn't know if this was the one you bought, but they're long. They're called long point sharpeners, and they sharpen with a little bit longer of a point. Some of my sharpeners, they'll put such a short point on them that you need to sharpen it again really quick. When you first sharpen with these, it's a little bit pointy for what I like to do. But
Mhm.
um, anyway, okay, so I'm going to show you one more thing. I don't think you saw this, Ellis. Have you seen my? Did you see my Thor drawings?
No, I haven't. I don't think
I didn't
so.
think you had because I had to post them with my. Because I think the only thing you see me on is Twitter,
Yeah.
and
Well, in a little.
I haven't been
I guess
posting
you
it.
show up on Tumblr occasionally. You cross
Oh
post
yeah, I
that.
usually post on Tumblr. So I did a pay. I did this. Well, first let me go to the first one. I did a classic Iron Man page in my
Oh yeah,
sketchbook,
I did see that.
and I just started as a figure drawing exercise, and then
Hmm.
then I got into the idea of I want to make it look like. Of course, my model is John Byrne's version because I feel like his representation of a lot of the classic Marvel characters is kind of on model. But I mean, it could have been Buscema or somebody like that. I mean, but I want the classic model of the characters, and so I did a page of Thor, and I had a lot of fun with that. And then I've been dinking around. I started this morning a Captain America page. I've drawn a lot of Captain America. I haven't drawn hardly any Iron Man or Thor. So I'm going to kind of work my way around the Marvel universe. So what I wanted to talk to or show FlyFoxPro, because FlyFoxPro was drawing, there was some stick figure exercises that they were doing, and they were doing they were doing a stick figure to a fleshed out figure. And so I was going to do something real quick. I was going to give like my stupid pointers. Not that I'm that great at this, but it might be helpful. I don't know if you can see this. Make sure you can see this. So, what FlyFoxPro had done was drawn like a stick figure, a rough stick figure,
Hmm.
and did something along the lines of that. And that's a good way to do it, by the way, I think. But what I was going to say is I was going to give a couple pointers. One is when you're doing this, always think about like direction, not and like what the direction like the bones are going in. Basically, even in the stick figure stage, you can draw a stick figure and make it look um, like in correct um, gesture, and that's kind of when you're doing the stick figure like that. That's what you kind of want to work towards. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought my style did work at least with the classic Iron Man. I don't know what the new Iron Man looks like. Anyway, so then what I would say is you come in and draw, and you were doing this, but I would say then come in and draw like the rib cage, and I wouldn't worry so much even about the arms, but if you can just add that block, and you want to draw like the pelvis is kind of tilted, you want to draw a block for the pelvis, and then I always kind of draw like a walnut shape. That's the rib. That's the rib cage, and it's the pelvis. And one of the things that I did for a long time that that someone pointed out, I never realized it was I was making this space between the rib cage and the pelvis way too big, and my figures looked funny. I never could figure out why. I'd be like, well, everything's perfect. So, and then I would say from there, you go to your head, of course, and again, you got to do what comes best for you. Everybody kind of works a little bit differently, I would say. But as you're doing this, think about like how like all this stuff is lined up, and you want it to like your arm. And I learned this from that Steve Houston book. Your arm, the way your arm is hinged because of your bones, like here's your humerus and your radius and your ulna. Your arm tends to do like this. So if you think about that, now if it's rotated, like if you rotate this, it'll do like this, but it still tends to bend at the elbow a little bit. It can be straight, but most of the time there's got a slight bend in the elbow, and it's always like that. So if you think about that, that'll help your gesture a lot. Discovering that helped me figure out some gesture stuff. So then you draw that, and then from there you just flesh it out. And I would work on, and we talked about how to draw comics the Marvel way, and see like my proportions are wrong here. But so like from there I'll draw like and it's good to keep this loose until you get a little bit of that down. But I mean, see, and then I always measure, and you always measure to the crotch, make sure the crotch is halfway. And then I'm always drawing superheroes, so I always come in and like add a little bit to the rib cage, depending on who it is. And then your shoulder, your what is that muscle? What's the muscle in your shoulder? Your shoulder muscle. Your
deltoid.
Deltoid, thank you. Will come down, and it comes halfway to that bone. It connects right there, and then it kind of comes up, and it comes over your bicep, and then it cuts in to your pectoral muscles. So you get a little bit of that. There's a void that's created there or an indentation that's created by your collarbone, and then where your deltoid comes in. Anyway, and then here's your bicep. And usually your bicep is a little like on the inside, unless your arm is rotated, if in the front view. And then from there you draw like your forearm muscles, which are pretty complicated, but not unlearnable for sure. Anyway, that's kind of what you were doing the other day. I don't know if this is helpful. The big thing is watch that space. And the stick figure is good. I would do this. And you can, the nice thing about stick figures, you can draw a bunch of stick figures real quick. But when you're doing them, like how I check my proportions, check your proportions too. So, and check everything. It's like you can do a bunch of stick figures really quick, and then go in and add the head, maybe like the ball, the cranium, and then the jaw, and then I would work it from that. I'd work into doing it where you don't really do maybe more of a modified stick figure, and then from there you kind of you can go in and work with the rest of it. Anyway, that was my 2 cents. I just wanted to share. I don't know if that's helpful. Do you have anything to add?
No, if a light bulb went off over his head on that, it was all worthwhile.
Well, that's the thing is, it's hard to know. And like I said, I was drawing my figures way too long forever until Robert Atkins told me, watch the space between your pelvis and your rib cage. And I realized, and I see a lot of people do that. And I'm not saying FlyFoxPro is doing that, but you got to watch that because it's easy. I see a lot of people that do that will put too much space in there, and it's tempting for me to do that. A lot of times I'll have to go in and shorten that up. But if you're drawing stick figures, if you're drawing box figures, if you're drawing whatever, I would go in and check like. After you draw it, like go back and check your proportions. I mean, whatever stage you're doing, check your proportions, because if you're drawing stick figures and that's all you're going to draw, you want them to be correct, Yeah. But remember, when you go from stick figure to like what I call like a box figure, which is like a rib cage and like rough anatomy, like shapes, almost like a wooden figure, you're going to add mass. So you have to account for that. I don't know what the lazy W method is. Do you know what that is, Ellis?
No, I was wondering about that. The lazy W. I wonder if it's not something like, let's see what a lazy W would look like. Let me visualize this. So a lazy W would be, let's see. Now, lazy W would, if you were to brand, if you had a design of a brand.
We immediately go to Cowboys.
Yeah. Would you put it up sideways? Would that be a lazy W?
I don't know. I'm sure it's obvious.
Or would a lazy W be an M? I don't know.
No. It's probably like a flat. I'm sure natassaint is like screaming at us right now.
I think it's probably Natasha International.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
I don't know. That's what I assume it is.
The W is your chest. Oh, that's a good idea. The W is your chest, then you draw 2 lines for the abs.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea because he's doing loomis kind of notions probably. Loomis had some great shorthand for doing anatomy.
One of the things, and one of the things that really broke open for me, at least as much as it has, figure drawing is the idea that I was drawing, for at least for heroic figures, I was drawing the chest way too small. I was drawing the chest about rib cage size, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, there's a lot of muscles packed on top of that.
You got to think of Steve Reeves taking a big breath and filling up, and just being, or for that matter, think about how big Bruce Lee could make himself by taking a big breath and fanning out his lats. You know,
Bruce Lee was funny because you always see him, and he always looks skinny every time you see him. But man, if you ever see him where he's like in a muscular pose, you're like, holy cow, that guy! He was
busy doing it, but he showed the disadvantages of doing that because he injured himself and had to take a lot of time off because he was trying to experiment with dead weight. And boy, you can rip something up quick by not doing your dead weights right.
Oh, my wife hurt her neck not too long ago, and I mean we're talking like, the rib cage pelvis tip helped a lot. Good. Yes, I agree. I absolutely put too much space in there. It's not much. It's maybe like you feel it on yourself, and even if you're a large person, you know, the ends of the W or the bottom of the.
I'm trying to still visualize what she's got in mind. Does it?
Well, yeah, because the W, you kind of fan it out, I think.
I'm drawing W's, trying to visualize how I enter the figure from this W. I don't know.
Okay, Ellis, you're gonna make me get my sketchbook back out. I think this is the concept, and I'm probably gonna butcher this, but I think how it works. Let's see. Let me find it.
First drawing book I ever had that I could actually understand and follow. Loomis. Yeah, Loomis is the man. As a matter of fact, there was people pointing out that the Riley head expression thing is like a little note goes on and says, first you build the Loomis head. So it's like the Riley is building on the shoulder of giants itself. It's saying, first learn your Loomis, and now let me tell you about my method. You know.
I've been reading this anatomy book. The ends of the W. I guess the end. So I guess the ends of the W are like here. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble. It's like this. It's like the ends of. Oh, okay. I get where he's saying. I think what he's saying, because. Well. I'll have to look it up. I'm a little.
I could do that right now. I'm going to see Lazy W on Loomis and try not to cancel the program.
No. Lazy W on Todd McFarlane.
Lazy
we don't know if it's a
W. Todd
McFarlane. I'm sure it's somebody else.
Is it spelled M-A-K or M-C?
I think it's M-A-C. M-A-C.
Yeah,
and
it
then
is.
Farland.
No, it's not.
It's not. Maybe it's MC. It must be MC.
Oh, here it is. 10-second tip on the quick tip on the male torso.
Okay, draw it out, Ellis. You got the cheat sheet.
Once I get it.
Once you get it figured out.
Yeah, once I see him do it.
So
it says this is only 10 seconds.
Well, you may start the clock.
Oh, look at that! He's sitting on a big rubber ball.
I can't see anything because all I can see is your.
I know you can't. Let me see if I can maybe share the screen.
What are you watching it on?
I'm watching it on Facebook, actually.
Oh. Yeah, I think anime drawing books are too stylized. The problem is when you first starting out, it's hard to know what you don't know. And so the best thing you can do is draw a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think a good book, if you want to draw that style, not just regular, is the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best how-to books ever done. Okay, I got it now. What he's doing.
Let's see it. Do it.
Okay, here we go. I'll draw big. Okay, here we go. This is the Todd McFarlane Lazy W thing, but I think he's probably
wrong.
Well, I don't know. You tell me how good you think it is.
Okay.
As soon as I get something open, I can draw on.
I'm watching on 3 different screens.
Okay, here we go. I'm drawing really big, I think. Okay, here's what he calls a lazy W. He does like that, and then he goes like this, and that. And then, so that's, he's calling a lazy W. And
it's an upside down.
I get the sense that he's saying the laziness is found totally in the chest, but he comes off of that, and that's where he finds his deltoid.
I'm watching. That? Well, I can't see your screen.
This is his
on my
chest,
live.
And this is where he finds all of his anatomy for his arms.
Okay. I got you.
And
no. I think that works. I mean, obviously, he's doing it.
Well, if he's able to draw those beautiful gestural Spider-Man he used to draw using the lazy W method,
well,
he's just trying. It's another way to measure. Like you made a big point. We were talking about proportions a lot, and that's all drawing is this has to be. It has to be something you say, well, that looks like a reasonable length for that forearm. That looks like a reasonable length. Like right here, I've made this guy very pigeon-chested. He's got a very high pigeon. I may have offended an entire ethnicity for all I know. Yeah. And see if my measurement goes south, and I draw a little dinky head on it.
Yeah, it will if you draw a dinky head on it.
Because your eyes are actually really good calipers. They don't have to be prompted by too much to know that things are wrong. They see. They're really good at that.
Well, and the thing that I've noticed is people will look at something bad, and I see this at work every single day. People will look at something that's drawn bad, and they won't go, "Oh, you drew the head too big," or like in the case of work, it might be something that just the proportions of the product don't look right, the metal that we're making or whatever. Mm-hmm. And and it's like they won't tell you what's wrong. It just doesn't look right, and they'll know it, but they don't know why.
FlyFoxPro, how did you get better at non-living objects? I'm terrible at anything in the background.
Hang on just a second. I'm looking through my sketchbooks. I'll show you here in a second. Let me see. Okay. Sorry, I keep all my sketchbooks under my drawing pad. So, and I don't know what's in here. I just pulled one out at random. So, this is one of my older sketchbooks. So, this Ellis, you may recognize this. This is the gas station downtown, at the downtown plaza. Mm-hmm. And I sat on the corner and I drew it. Speaking of proportions,
yeah, there you go.
So
you can't get any better drawing. If you want to get really good at anything, do what. Who was the big artist in drawing the Marble Way? What was the guy's name?
Ramita.
Was it Ramita or Buscema?
It was Buscema.
This talent, drawing this mannequin that you see me drawing here.
Yeah.
This is your primary talent. If you're able to whip these babies out, this is where also the gesture is going to be mainly registered very quickly, to where you know that I was, complimenting the McFarlane Spider-Mans, and just think about everything he's doing in terms of like twistiness between the upper torso and the lower torso. That's where it all went a little crazy with that crazy McFarlane Spider-Man. He just thought through and did these. I see, I'm doing something like a guy just barely sitting down for interest, but he was doing things where he was just getting totally whack about how much twist was going on in the torso.
Oh, yeah.
And you can believe that he can draw these little mannequins just like nobody's business, I'm sure. Now, he may be got a little ring rust on him right now, according to watching him draw that lazy W, but I'm sure he'll get it back if he feels like it. He doesn't need to, though. He's had money for ages.
That skeleton, that stick figure that you drew, that's a good stick figure, and it's got the two shapes of the torso. I'm reading a book by Gottfried Bams. It's like How to Draw the Figure, or something like that. He was a German writer or a German teacher, and he wrote several figure drawing books, anatomy books. And just recently they've translated two of them, and I've got both of them. One of them is this thick hardcover that's like 600 pages. I mean, it's a beast, but and it's funny. It was written, I think, in the 60s, and it's talked about how nobody teaches drawing anymore, and I think that was kind of the thing then,
there was. I mean, Disney had to start Cal Arts to teach people to become students again, because there was a whole thing. If you were taking art, you were just expressing yourself. You weren't becoming a studious student of the masters. And so Disney had to start Cal Arts so he could get some decent artists out there, so he could tap them and say, "Come to work."
So to answer FlyFoxPro's question, or sort of answered the question. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on, where you can see it. So this is just a sketchbook of mine. For some reason, I drew a radio station. I have no idea why. This is all drawn from just my imagination. Okay. So this, I was on a plane. I drew cars. I think I made all this stuff up, but a lot of that is perspective. If you learn, and everybody gets freaked out about perspective, but see this. Okay, this is a good example. I'll use this as an example. So this is when my wife and I were in New York. We rented an apartment, and so one day I while I was waiting for her or whatever, I went out on the stoop and I drew. So this is looking down the street. So you can't see it because it's all in ink. I mean, but in my head, I've drawn enough of this kind of stuff that I look for the vanishing point. If you're talking about a background, and even a car, you can see the same thing in those car drawings. So I looked, and I knew like my horizon line, and you got to understand what the horizon line is. But I found my horizon line, and then from the horizon line, everything is related to it. It's either above it and it goes down, or below it and it goes up. And so I put my horizon line. I mean, I didn't literally, because it's not here, but I did in my head. And so I drew, and I always, if you're drawing from life, I always look for stuff that goes to the vanishing point. So this is like the line of the curb. And so I just kind of, and I'm looking at it there because I drew this from life. I just drew the line to the curb, and I kind of knew, I could tell where, because I have buildings, and it's probably around in there somewhere. But drawing this kind of stuff from life and from your imagination will help you draw backgrounds, and then like cars are kind of the same way. Now this is a little bit different, but it's the same way. When I drew this, I didn't literally draw it because I didn't have to, because I've drawn enough of this stuff. But every one of these, you could draw a box around it, and it would be in perspective, more or less, And cars are good because cars are in perspective because they're generally box shaped, but they're not exactly box shaped. So, I mean, I know what a hot rod looks like. So I probably drew the grill first and got a grill shape, and then drew like my A-arms out here. And then I probably drew my headlights, and then my tires, got a rough tire shape in. And you can kind of see, if you look at this, I drew some faint guidelines in on this. Drew my guidelines for my body, and then drew my but the trick on that stuff is, well, I would say the trick on that stuff is, and there's one, this is the Javits Center. I was waiting to get into the Comic-Con, and I just sat down, I was killing time, so I just sat down and drew. If you don't have, this is like a small sketchbook. You can take it with you everywhere,
That's what Scott does, Fly Foxes. He always has a sketchbook on him. And he's always doing studies.
That's what I would, and you can see, I'll flip through real quick. Yeah, Ellis does not. Well, but you draw on you don't do studies. Yes, go draw. Well, draw from life.
Yeah, draw from life.
And draw from imagination, because I think
I have done a lot of drawing from life, and it is, I consider it pretty essential. You start realizing that, oh man, I need to quit drawing things as symbols, because that's what you are doing when you draw the face and you have a set number of this or that. What you need to do is study the rhythms, the planes of the head, and realize that, well, I was going to make a point here. I'll give my little lesson for the night. I took a course.
Give your lesson.
A course with a great character artist, Steven Silver, who he's quite a cartoonist. He's quite an educator. He made us draw about 5 different fish. And the thing is, what you learn by drawing a fish is that every one of them, if it's a real fish, has got the exact same inventory of fins, for one thing. They all just have a variety of things. And the point of that lesson was, and I may not have things wrong here on this one I've drawn, but I'm using my memory of the little class we had. We had the big dorsal, and you realize how many varieties how many ways this part can look, and this extra little fin that goes right before you get to the rear fins. And then there's that usual one here that sits under there. And then of course the ones that are the flippers. And I may be leaving something out, but I think I got that much from the lesson. So that any fish that I come along and try to create out of my head, I know that it has to have that much anatomy. Now, you could say that same thing about a car. A car is going to be, like you say, kind of boxy, but it's also going to be all about making sure its weight is distributed the way it makes sense. And its wheels are going to want to be center of gravity under the main weight of that engine. And then the other wheel is going to be all about giving you a wheel. What do they call that? A wheel. The
A wheel
positioning.
well?
The positioning. But between wheels. Anyway, it's gonna be landing right there. Your wheelbase is going to be nice and comfortable where it finds itself balancing the rest of the weight of the car.
Yeah, yes. Well, I was just going to say, I mean, again, I was flipping through here. You can see this is the Subaru dealership when I was getting my car serviced at Christmas one year, and you can see it's the same kind of thing. This is in pencil, but I was drawing what was in front of me, so I didn't have to build it with a grid. It was all laid out, but you can see there's a perspective. There's a horizon line that goes right through there. So, learn if you want to draw stuff. And then see, here's something I drew from my imagination. I don't know what this is, some kind of train station.
You drew that from your imagination, see? But that's Chungi kind of abilities that you don't even necessarily know you have until you start using them. It's like that was in your head. And,
yes. I'll take that.
Yeah. Kim Jong-gi.
Kim Jong-gi. Here's my wife's office. In fact, I was probably waiting for Ellis, and I drew her. So I mean, that's the thing. Just use your if you don't have a small sketchbook, get one and carry it around.
And that's good for that eyeball caliper. You want to always be working on that, but then you'll realize you can trust it. Your eyes are really good at measuring.
When I was drawing that figure in my sketchbook, the stick figure, and then I fleshed it out, I went back and measured it because I measured to see because the crotch is always like the middle. I mean, roughly, but the crotch is always the middle, and it was right. I said always measure it, but it was right. But it's because I've drawn a bunch of that, and I've learned how to eyeball that. But I mean, man, practice, that's the big thing. Cars are difficult. The trick with cars, I draw Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
they're helpful. I mean, you can draw a Hot Wheel, and the detail is like 90% there. They don't have windows. They don't have door handles. But it's good. It's good for getting like if you want to view like that, because you can hold it in your hand and you can hold it and draw it. I've done a lot of that in my sketchbooks. I grew up when I was a kid. I was really into cars when I was like 16 and 17. So that's helpful because I kind of know what's there. Like that hot rod, I knew like what a carburetor looks like and that sort of thing. Thank you, FlyFoxPro. I've filled many of those sketchbooks. Honestly, if I were to win the lottery or whatever, I would probably get off all social media and just spend my day walking around drawing in my sketchbook. That would be the ideal, I think. That's what I enjoy the most, is because you don't have to draw what anybody tells you to draw. You draw whatever. In fact, I took off work last Friday and went to the 45th Infantry Museum, which is a museum for the 45th Infantry, the Army 45th Infantry here in Oklahoma City. And I drew a Jeep and an ambulance, and I drew a bunch of guns. They got guns there. I drew guns, and that's all that stuff is helpful because you draw it and then you look at it, you go, did I draw? You draw it while you're looking at it, and then you look at your drawing and you go, did I draw it in the right proportions? Right. Even a gun that's like mounted flat against the wall, you can still screw it up.
Yeah, sure.
And nobody, I think it's something you just have to work at. I certainly have to work at it. Anyway, like I said, in fact, I think I was talking to FlyFoxPro on Instagram last Friday when I was downtown because I saw that he was working on some gestures.
Well, I'm interested in FlyFox's Hergé obsession because the simplification that Hergé does very appealing work. He and
Yes.
also you're talking about a guy that's good at backgrounds. The guy understands exactly how much to do and how quickly to quit on it too. It's all about like once he achieves a quick read on something, he's done. You know, he's not going to add just a whole lot of stuff unless he's kind of got a show off the point to make. You know, in terms of like
but he doesn't take shortcuts either.
He draws things with a very he's quite the draftsman. All draftsmanship is the ability to draw your lines like if you could draw a rubber band around something that you drew. That rubber band would follow a course across your drawing, and this is how you can kind of check your drawings anyway, is like give them a kind of superhero little bit of blazing on them, that where you do something like a rubber band that runs across the contours or something to kind of like check yourself. It's like if I draw an arm here and I want it to be a little more 3D than, and I'm worried it's getting too 2D. I might want to do something where I draw the difference between what's going on. You know, draw a little bit of piping on the muscles, I can where my mind, and that's all just also called a cross contours, so that I know I'm doing my draftsmanship is coming through for me. And of course, what he's doing is like when he draws a car, you know, it may not be a car that they're actually manufacturing. It may be one of his cars that he's invented, but it's going to look like a car, and it's going to, from panel to panel, it's going to have the same amount of space behind the wheel. You know, it's going to be dead on. You know, his measurements are, and he may very well have a lot of reference around. You know,
I think to go back to your cross contour drawing thing, if you look at a lot of characters that were around in their 90s costumes, where they had all these like straps around their upper arm and around their forearm and stuff, that's what a lot of that was, and it helps sell those characters as, you know, fully realized 3D. I mean, look at a Rob Liefeld character, and you see those straps around the thighs. That's and I'm not saying Rob is doing that for any reason other than he thinks it's cool looking, but that's kind of what that, if you look at that, it really, putting that on there really gives the character or the figure a solid look, because you got a line that's defining that shape that in 3D space that otherwise wouldn't be defined except by shading or cross hatching or something like that.
Right. Yeah,
it just gives it a little bit extra oomph.
Right.
You know.
That's what was so tough for me about Judge Dredd when I had to draw a few of those. The shoulder stuff that goes on with Dredd. You have to realize that I'm going to have to give up on what I'm used to for anatomy, and realize that I've got to draw my anatomy under it, and then I've got to forget about it. It's going to erase it totally, because all that stuff that goes on with the epaulets and all that, it's just this huge shape that has to be the main thing that's invented, but it has to be invented mindful with the fact that it fits onto that shoulder, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of tough to do. All the characters, Kirby used to do it all the time. It's like his most natural impulse seemed to always be, I wonder why I blanked out, just to do figures like Black Panther, or Commandy for that matter. Just draw a figure. But he also followed the impulse to get really fruity with shoulder pads and stuff too. And I always wondered after he designed a character like that if he kind of hated it just a little bit, because it's like, oh man, I got to draw.
Oh, he was
something
He
about
was
the. Go ahead.
he was notorious for not drawing costumes consistent from panel to panel. I've read that from several of his inkers. In the Jack Kirby Collector, they talked about how it would, like Thor, he was constantly drawing him with 4 spots on his costume instead of 6. And so the inker,
$7 a page for a first
what?
comic job. That's what Natasha International was asking. That's a little cheap.
Oh, I mean, hey, what did I say last week? Get the best deal you can get. I mean, I'm doing these for nothing, so you know. but I own part of it. If I would say this, if you're going to do it for $7 a page, then like negotiate. I mean, I look at the deal and really assess it. Like, are they gonna make money on the? Because most of these comics don't make money.
Right. No, nobody makes money on comics.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm doing this, and supposedly we'll make money. I think their model is such that we'll make money on the deal, but I don't know. I've drawn plenty of stuff for free. I wouldn't, $7 is it's a weird. I think the cheapest I've ever drawn anything for was, I think, got $20 for pencils on a book, and I love doing the book, so I was happy. If you're happy, who cares if it's? I mean, I hope you're not trying to pay your rent with it, but And also, I would say this: are they flexible with different things? Are they allowing you to work? Are they demanding a bunch of revisions? Are they being, if they're cool and being a little, you're not like killing yourself, like they want the whole book in 2 weeks or something, then, it might not be a bad deal. I mean, it's not, you're not going to get rich off of it, obviously, but,
right.
For first comic, nah, I don't think that's too cheap. I've drawn plenty. Like I said, I've done a lot of jobs for free, It just depends. If it's the deal you got, it's the deal you got. If you like the project. Now, I would say the opposite. I have turned down plenty of jobs because I didn't like them.
Yeah.
Comics take so long to draw, and I mean, it just depends. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've held my nose and did stuff that I didn't want to do. But man, it's tough. I wouldn't. I don't know. If you have the ability, I would only work on stuff that I like, that I want to work on. Especially if they're only paying you $7 a page. Now, if they're paying you more, but I mean, good grief! I was reading this thing the other day, and like, what did I tell you, Ellis? I sent you that thing. Like, starting pencil rate at Marvel is like 140, which isn't that much, real. I mean, for all the work you do.
But you're not going to do a joke page where it's all black with white eyeballs on it or anything like that. You aren't going to get away with doing something tricky like that. Actually, Mignola had a nice little share the other day. He was sharing a work in progress, and his process is pretty cool. I mean, he draws these figures that are really well locked in and designed, but they're also, when you talk about your draftsmanship, he's going in there and I'll just see if I can find that, save it on my iDrive and share it here on my little Mac. I'll show that to you. But it's really cool, the process he uses for spotting those blacks. We always talk about what a master he is of that. Find that. I'll be back in a moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No. I'm on my desktop. I'm right here.
I'm
having to concentrate on navigation. But I'll be back. My
gotcha.
Total 100% brain eventually.
Oh, I know. Sometimes it's hard to talk and think at the same time, which is a plague on our modern society.
Yeah.
People talk before they think.
What do I have that under?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
I would say take the best deal you can get. If it's $7, I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I would do it. Unless they're just asking you to draw like crazy stuff you don't want to draw or something, I would do it. I've turned down jobs that I didn't want to draw because I thought the material was so, I don't know, offensive or whatever. And I've turned down jobs. Oh, I turned down somebody recently just because it's like, I don't want to work with this person. There was specifically one person on the team that I don't want to work with. I mean, somebody I've said I will never ever work with that person for very specific reasons that I'm not going to say. But
yeah, I probably know a couple of people you probably wouldn't like to work with, and it's they're kind of semi-profane. I worked for that. We've talked about it before, I think, where a woman was a dominatrix that killed people. It was and that was her job. She, you could contract her if you were ready to end your life. You could have ecstasy at the same time she was killing you. And it was something that the guy paid great. I mean, he, if you're looking for a guy to freelance for, this guy was great. He paid you. And, but I hated doing it. I hated the character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very reluctant to tell somebody don't take money, but yeah,
That Natasha International, that's for an independent comic company here in Tulsa, but I won't say who. You may know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
But they're a great group of artists and writers. I probably do know who you're talking about too.
Oh yeah, and if it is the same people that I'm thinking about, we know them, and I mean, you know what? If I didn't have anything else to do, if it's the guy that I'm thinking of, and he, how can I just?
He was at Scott's funeral, right? Not you, Scott.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scott. Yeah, Scott. I'm trying to think of.
I believe he works
I believe he works at a college. He works at a school, I think. You can figure out if that's the same guy. I don't want to say his name. But yeah, I don't have a beef with any of those people at all. I think I know most of them, the writers and the artists. There's probably some I don't know. No, wait. Why are you not in our comic group? There's an Oklahoma comic creators group on Facebook that they're in. Actually, I think they're boycotting us, but
are they?
Well, I don't know. But anyway, I would work with those. I would work with those guys for $7 a page. I mean, if there was a project, they've never offered me to work with them, but I would work with them because I think I like how they do things. They have a model kind of like Source Point Press, who's the company that's going to put out this book, which is they put out the books, and then they do a lot of cons. Source Point Press does it on a little bit bigger scale than those guys, but if it's the same guys, they do all kinds of cons and shows and stuff, and it just seems like they'd be a fun group to hang out with and stuff. If they were here, I probably would have done something with them.
I got the wrong thing. Yeah. I guess, even though everything can be done remotely anymore, there still makes a difference when you know that somebody's
if you go hang out with them and stuff. Yeah, well, and you go to cons with them because what they do, I'll tell you one of the things that they do, if it's the same group, and you'll probably know, they do all these cons, and the owner or the guy that owns the company will pay for like the table. I think he pays like the tables and the gas and that kind of thing. And then you go up and you sell books, but then you do sketches, and you could sell the sketches. I think he gets part of it, or however but I think they do okay like that. If that's the same guy that you're talking about, I would work with them. for $7 a page. Because he's not getting rich off of that, you know. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean I just know that. Yeah. Did you find it?
No, I said, yeah. Finally, I loaded the wrong thing first. Even though it's a very interesting drawing, it's not what I wanted to see.
Oh yeah.
I'll find it now. There we go.
And we got to talk about our movie before we leave.
Okay. Okay. Can you see? This can be seen pretty clearly. Look at that. He's drawing this cool figure. Let me get rid of Natasha here on screen. You see more of it.
Oh, he drew. Mignola drew that?
Yeah, he drew that, and I copied it, and I'll show you what I'm assuming is all the fills are going to go around. Notice these little islands he's got of white where he's going to go in there, and here's how I filled it in. Looks right to me anyway. So that's how I filled it in, and that works, but you never know. He might have had an entirely opposite notion about where he was going to put those, but I don't think so. I think that looks like where his core shadow was going to go and all that. But anyway, It's neat to see how designed that is. You know, that you talk about your depth. He's going around this part that looks like a little two before of your forearm. It's more square going down into this more rounded part. But at the same time, he's got this core shadow that ran down. And this is called pushing it. To say that an elbow can look kind of square, well, to just go ahead and draw it as a straight square like that is just something that is where you get your appeal. Sometimes it's like to push something, and to push a straight, to push a straight. This right here is just this straight right there that he's pushed, and he does that a lot. He pushes the straights a lot on stuff. He'll draw a curve every now and then, but his curves tend to be like he draws a little straight line, and then he'll say, now we're going this way. Now we're going this way. In other words, it'll be a series of connected up, kind of like what you could get next to and say, well, those are straight lines, but they're all behaving as a curve, you know.
Yeah.
Once
it's a bunch of straight lines that make a curve.
Yeah. What's the best way of shading? I'm stuck in the anime form where there's little or no shading. There's a good reason for why. There's a good reason why you would have very little shading, because for the anime you would be about color fills and stuff like that for your shading. You know, when you're doing something that's all like just contours around your character, and there again, where your 3D is good is getting good at drawing how a belt goes around someone's waist, so you can tell they've got a
round waist,
a round form. Yeah,
well, that's the cross contour thing. But the shading, there's a great oh gosh, I wish I could remember who. Is it Cho? Who's the Cho that not who? There's a Cho.
Frank.
Not Frank. Not Frank Cho.
Okay.
I think it's Mike Cho. Did a little 3-page thing about shading, and I was very anti-shading because I kind of went with like the European thing until that, where it's like you want it all open, kind of like the Tintin deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and it really made the stuff pop. I think it's Mike Cho. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And that was helpful because it's only like 3 pages, but it was like a little shading, just like, I mean, it would show a face without shading and the same, and they're both fairly simplified, but you could see the how the shading, like under the nose and stuff, really made it pop. That's Michael Cho, I think. I think it's who that is.
Michael Cho sounds right.
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, okay. And you'll have seen this, Ellis, I think.
Let's see.
Well,
I'll tell you if I have.
Okay. And this was, do you remember the Seven Camels Blogspot? The guy was an animator.
Yeah.
That's where this is from. So, and again, I apologize. I'm doing this very low tech.
Well, let me get rid of FlyFoxPro's
okay.
text here. There we go.
Hey, and FlyFoxPro, I did a ton of work for a company that they didn't pay. They sold them at cons. They sold them online. But I learned a lot. That's the trick is mileage. Okay, so this is. Hold on, I'm trying to hold it where you can see it.
Yeah.
But see, this is the example I'm talking about where it shows the difference of shading, and it shows now it's not a good tutorial, but it kind of shows some of that. And this is Temple of the Seven Golden Camels, and I think this is archived, or this is on his blog.
I think it's probably still there. Yeah, it's probably still around. Temple of the Seven Golden Camels, and that's great because it's. Go ahead.
Well, see, and it's got examples here. Let me see if I can see that of like a building that's shaded,
mm-hmm.
And I would say to learn how. I don't know. The best way is just by practice, really, I would say, and I would say, it's a 3-page thing. There's not much to it. It really talks about the importance of it. I would say find somebody that you like and steal from them. Any question? Any question about comics? Steal.
No, that's a good point. That you're probably talking, Natasha, is about, should I be a guy that gets all his values out of hatching? Is that too busy? Yeah. Or should I do it with just a quick little pass of doing all black fills? And you just have to be kind of bold if you're going to want to do it with black. But to understand, there are, especially with comics, don't be too rule bound. Because you'll see David Finch, if you see in those tutorials, he's basically drawing figures in a way that just reveals the form the best way. He will have a strong rule he's following for lighting a figure, but at the same time, he'll have little fill light going on and stuff like that. He's just allowing himself to say, okay, I'm going to define the form here where this may have been totally in shadow, but I'm going to say it's catching a little reflected light or whatever. But he's a guy that just does crazy great hatching and stuff.
Yeah, you have to kind of figure out what you want to do. And part of that is finding your style. And it's, do you want a lot of cross hatching? Do you want hatching? Do you want, and that's why I say, I was taught. I took several years ago. I took a couple classes through the Comics Experience, which is a website that does comic school. They do. It's an online deal. You can join and attend classes, online classes and stuff. And I did a couple of those classes, and I was taught like, hey, if you want to work in the industry, find somebody you like and draw like them, which, because you'll never draw. And there's kind of two ways of thinking about that. My feeling is always, as long as you're not swiping directly from them, you'll never look exactly like them, unless it's just through some kind of accident. But I would say, find somebody you like and figure out what they're doing, and then kind of, use their solutions and see, do I like that or do I not like that? And ideally you would have multiple people so that your style is kind of a combination. But yeah, it kind of depends on what you're wanting to do. At Marvel, their stuff is all real Tintin-y right now looking. So, it just depends. That's not a very helpful answer, because this is something I've struggled with too. It's like, well, how do I want to draw this stuff? And when you draw, eventually these questions will get answered, because you'll do stuff that you like, and you'll be like, "Oh, that's what I need to do." But until you make that eureka moment, which is probably not a eureka moment, it's probably just you kind of settle into something that you like. I would say look at other people. For example, Ellis just this week bought the Commandy Artist Edition,
right?
And
which is
yeah. Oh, I was
well,
gonna say,
I'll go drag it out here and show it to everybody.
I think it's a great Kirby. If you want to draw like Kirby, which Ellis does, obviously, you could do much worse than getting the Artist Edition. I'm a big John Byrne fan, and I've got all 3 of his Artist Editions. Now, I don't look at them while I'm drawing necessarily, but I've looked at them enough that there's little tricks that I do. Like this, to me, is like stolen straight from John Byrne's X-Men. Tires. Ellis helped me draw tires. One day he told me a trick about drawing tires that I use. That's been kind of handy on this book. You remember showing me how to draw tires that one day?
Yeah, I showed you my drag cartoon way of drawing tires.
I use that.
This is my Commandy book. I'll just quit drawing tonight and page through this for my entertainment contribution here.
Oh yeah. So where'd you get that from, El? Well, did you get it from the big company, or did you buy it from a comic shop?
I'm trying to remember. Did I buy it from IDW? I don't think so. I think I just went to Amazon looking for it or something like that. But
Gotcha.
Anyway, it's an amazing little. It's basically 11 by 17. So you're seeing the pages as big as Kirby put his pencils onto, and it gives you a sense of. You talk about your shading, how much he was doing, how abstract he often was too with it. He is designing stuff like how he would typically do stuff.
Oh, especially like
strata,
science fiction stuff.
Yeah, the strata and stuff. He also has a really cool shorthand he does for buildings that is very worth studying. He's King Kirby. When you look at when you start getting hits for Jack Kirby on the internet, you realize the guy never looked up. He was always drawing. What a life, And it's like, and you can think of that as, he just had a good marriage. That's probably a very important part of it. I love this drawing. I've already copied this before because it just caught my eye of this character down here, Commandy, having a close-up encounter with this. Oh God. Okay, I'll just put that back up. Yeah, the Tiger Man or whatever he is. He's a fox, more like. He electrocutes him.
Okay, so
that around.
No. We got to talk about the movie that we're going to do.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Ellis and I. So I've been after Ellis. If you listen, I've been after Ellis because a few years ago we did several short movies, and it was always a lot of fun. Ellis did all the work. I just was along for the ride. And it was always fun, and so I've been after him, telling him, hey, we needed to do another movie because we hadn't done one in a while. And you can see the ones we did on his YouTube site. It's you rang. What have you put up? Have you put up Hobo's Bindle?
I put them all three together. I joined them all together in iMovie so you can see them all three of them in just one.
There you go. And they're just short little things. It's us messing around, with stuff. And so I told Ellis we need to do another movie just because it's a fun way to. So Ellis came up with a plot. I would call it a plot for a movie called Space Poison. Is that what it is?
Space Poison. It's a working title. It can be named anything we decide it's going to be named.
Sure. So, so I like your idea, Ellis. So the idea is that Ellis is dressed in, and I think you need a lab coat, by the way.
Something there.
Anyway, Ellis is dressed in a lab coat or something. He looks unusual, like possibly an alien, and so he mixes up this something in some sort of beaker or something. Meanwhile, we cut to me, and I am at a bar, and I came with the idea because I want my wife to be involved. I think I'm going to either have her serve me a drink, or I'm going to be talking to her while she ignores me. I think that'd be the best. I think she'd like doing that better than anything. Anyway, I'm going to be talking to her. And so I told Ellis I need to be wearing my idea was a Hawaiian shirt because I want it to be very, very distinctive how I'm dressed because my beverage is going to disappear. It's going to be at the bar. It's going to disappear. And then it's going to be replaced by this space poison. And I'm going to drink it. And then I'm going to vanish through the miracle of Ellis's iMovie. I'm going to vanish, and I'm going to reappear it will be downtown Oklahoma City. But I think so. Was your idea? I'd be in the. I think we should have me in the tunnels, but we should do it in such a way that it seems like I'm trapped. Hey, General Grudge is here. General Grudge has been wearing out Marvel Comics on Instagram.
No grudge. You didn't miss a thing.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Well, you can go back and watch it in the archives. Anyway, so was that kind of what you were thinking, Ellis? That
yeah. Well, what I was thinking is that I could do my bit, you could do your bit, and then it becomes a like, can I make this make sense when I start trying to cut it together? Because it might be kind of fun that way. So whatever's in your head, you do that.
Oh, okay.
Whatever's in my head, I do that. And then when I get all the raw footage of it all, and you've done 40 minutes of stuff you think should go into it, and I've done
40 minutes.
I don't know. Well, I'm just saying I have to balance what was in your head with what was in my head. It sounds like a fun challenge. That way, since we both understand the concept. I'm at work doing something with a transporter that sends you a drink that you don't notice has changed from the one you're drinking at the bar. And so that becomes the idea. And that then when you take it, it's just an excuse for some fun little effects that start behaving on you after you've poisoned yourself. And then I'll on my side of it, I figure out like how I chuckle or gloat over having poisoned you,
Oh, I see. Okay. I like that. I think we need to work with some props though. I mean, what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that the beaker that you use is the same beaker that maybe not the same, but a duplicate of the beaker that I pick up.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I looked on Amazon and I found some like some different plastic beakers. And so then they're pretty cheap. I may order something like that so that we have a couple, because it may be like I'm running around downtown and I've got it in my hand still, or,
Right.
I mean, didn't it end with me dropping it? Or
well,
something
it's,
like
it's
that?
just interesting. This is a good example of like you you think you've been clear on what you think should happen,
Yeah.
and in this downtown, I thought we'd already decided it probably isn't going to happen downtown.
Oh, we did.
You,
Well, we had.
you might almost do all of your stuff right there at your house. You know.
Well, I think we need to. I think the two of us need to film together at some point.
Well, yeah, we could. We could make that. We could make that rule. You know, we're in charge.
We don't have to be. Who's in charge?
In charge. We are in charge.
We're. Oh, okay. Okay.
Wow.
I'll keep my. Well, I don't want to do it until it cools down because it's so hot.
Yeah, it is.
But I figure it'll give us time to prep.
Yeah,
so to speak. Or as prepped as we're going to get. Anyway.
So that was my big purchase.
I gotcha. That's nice, man.
Yeah.
It's tempting. If I had room, I'd buy more of them.
I'll show you what I got from the library today. You talk about you're reading the Bible. You know what this is? This is the Holy Bible audio book. It's the whole thing. It's the.
Is it really? That's good.
It's all the Old Testament. It's all the New Testament. It's 62 discs, and so I'm hard at work at pirating it. Pirating the
Bible. There's probably something in there about that. I would think. Yeah, you'll come across that pretty quick.
Thou shalt not. Pirate the Bible.
You know what though? Well, hang on. Let me say this. You can get, and I always say this when I read, that if you don't have a Bible, there's a Bible app that you can get. You don't have a smartphone though.
It's a personal use one. I'm not going to break the bank by distributing this Bible.
I'm sure the publisher would say, you know what? Go in peace.
Yeah, exactly. You got it from the library. You want to have time to read it. Yeah, exactly.
There's a what version is that? Was that an NIV?
Well, there's an interesting little bit of trivia about how I even thought about this. I mean, for some reason, I was thinking about audio versions of the Bible. It just came into my head, that I probably, since I like audiobooks as better than reading, I should look into an audio Bible. And so I'm watching this character while I'm drawing on an old, dating back, to the 50s, of Steve McQueen in Wanted Dead or Alive. And I hear this guy's mellifluous voice. It's just a beautiful voice. I say, I wonder what that actor's done, because that's a great voice. I check him on the internet database, and his name is Alexander Scourby, and he's narrated this entire Bible.
Oh yeah, that would be a job.
You talk about your weird serendipity, synchronicity kind of thing that I just happened to, like the day before, I was thinking about an audio Bible. I check a guy on the internet movie database that reveals he's the most popular audio Bible guy. That's pretty amazing.
I will just say the Lord works in mysterious ways, Ellis.
Yeah. It is odd. Let me introduce you to the audio. See, I do that with library CDs too. We all own them. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well,
you're right. You're right.
True.
We do.
I mean, yeah.
Let me introduce you to Audible Boomers. What's that?
I don't know.
I've got an Audible version read by Darth Vader. No, that inhalation. That inhalation would get to me after a while.
Yeah, I would be gasping for breath.
Yeah.
I think he probably means the what's the actor that did Darth Vader's voice?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name. James Earl Jones.
That's right.
Is that right? Yeah. I think that's. Hey, whatever gets a little good in you, I'm all for.
Have you ever seen Dr. Strangelove?
Yes.
James Earl Jones has got some great bits in that, where that great voice comes out, says, because he's got these things where he was doing such great enunciation and all that, and all of a sudden he gets confused, and so all of a sudden he's using that great voice to go, you know, like, which was a lot of fun to contrast that with. Yeah, good old. I need to watch Dr. Strangelove again. I always loved that movie.
I haven't seen it in a while because I don't remember that part.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I've been watching The Prisoner. I don't think it's out. I talked about it on our last podcast that I've been watching The Prisoner because I got tired of stuff disappearing on me on Amazon Prime. You know, The Sopranos did. There were a couple other things that just vanished while I was watching them, and I thought, good grief, I got to watch. I grew up seeing those. I go to comic convention and there'd be books about The Prisoner or different things, and I always heard about it, but it was so hard to see. And man, the DVD set, it's 17 episodes, and like the DVD set's $150, and it's on Prime, and I've always wanted to watch it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it. I haven't seen them all. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it because if I miss it, I don't want to spend that much on it.
Yeah. 17 shows. You can take that in easily. Yeah, Mein Führer, I can walk. Yeah. Natasha International has seen Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, this is Dr. Strangelove. Yeah.
That is great.
Ellis, we've been at it an hour.
And 21 minutes.
What?
We're about to say goodbye. Oh, no. What else do you want to say, Scott?
Thank you for everybody that's joined and watched us. And I've been running into a lot of people on Instagram, and that's cool. Thanks. I appreciate all the kind words and all the support and everything. It's awesome.
What is this show you're talking about? FlyFoxPro CAD fail.
I have the book on reserve. I need to check out right now I'm doing Prisoner. I can only do one show a night. I watched an episode of Prisoner before I go to bed. I've got it on my wish list, or not my wish list, but my watch list on Amazon Prime. So I'll check it out.
I'll look at it too. Okay, guys. I guess do you want to say anything, Scott, about anything?
Nope, I'm done. I'm done.
I'm done too. So good night, all.